So what I have right here is something that I have enthusiastically been waiting for a while, and it's the brand new LG Ultra Gear 27-inch, 240 hertz, 1440p OLED monitor. This is gonna be the first time that I actually get to experience OLED in person. I have not been able to experience any of the OLED ultra wides that are out there, so this is gonna be the first consumer variant. I have been using an LG OLED television for my gaming as of late, but this is gonna be next level. I'm excited for it. So this is actually arriving a few days late. I'm kind of a little bit salty about it because LG said that they would ship this out on the 16th of January, and they didn't end up shipping it out until I believe it was the 24th. So I'm a little bothered by that, but otherwise I'm excited that all of this technology is finally here, finally coming to fruition, that we can actually use it. So in the box, we have the base foot stand, we have the actual robust arm, or not arm, what is it called? Stand. And then a box of what I presume is gonna be the actual gizmos and doodads to connect this bad boy. Yeah, it's taken a while for OLED to come mainstream for PC gamers. OLED's obviously been a thing on phones for ages. It's been a thing on TV for the last few years, and now we're finally getting to experience it on PC in a reasonable form factor, because for a while it's been ultra wides. That was mostly in 2022, and now it's the consumer panel, which, oh no, there's something loose on the inside. No, do you guys hear that? No, what is that? Hopefully it still works, but as you can see, the panel itself is really thin, just like an old LG OLED TV, but then you have this robust backing back here to attach the stand to. We've got, for the inputs and outputs, two HDMI ports, a display port, which is the big difference over like an LG gaming TV. You don't get display port, but this one does have it, and then USB uplink and downlink with that as well. VESA 100mm compatibility. I really hope this thing still works. It does look amazing. The stand looks pretty robust. It's got this ball and hip socket back here, which is neat. That works. All right, stand is assembled. There's some NVIDIA branding back here, NVIDIA G-Sync, and then looks like it has cable mounting or routing holes back here. The stand is pretty robust. It maneuvers as well as you need it to. Can it go vertical? It can go vertical for all of your favorite TikToks, but for mine, that means that there's plastic on the inside that's moving around, which is not good. All right, let's take a look of what's in the accessory box. You sit right here. All right, it does have an external power brick. This actually seems a lot thicker than what I've seen on normal monitors. Curious what the power capacity is of this. 110 watt power brick. Got an HDMI cable, a remote, that's nice and neat, a display port cable, and then a USB uplink cable with a mini screwdriver as well. All right, I think this is the back clip for where the cable routing goes, if I'm not mistaken, to allow you to hide it a little bit better. Power cable for the power brick, and then it also includes a separated battery for what? Oh, that's nonsense. That's a pain in the butt. Okay, so the screwdriver actually isn't for the display. The screwdriver is for opening up the bottom of the remote, which they have torqued really tightly, and I can't unscrew with this. I guess, oh man, this is really not great. Why would they screw it in? So the screwdriver is to unscrew the remote, and it's like a weird ratcheting system where it's like only coming out as far as I unscrew it. There we go, finally it's fully unscrewed. So that you can put the battery in the remote. That is such a bad idea. Like a clip system, AA's, AAA's, like there are a million ways to make a better remote setup than that. And now I have to screw it back in. LG, that is simply just bad design. That took way too long to just get a single screw setup. I am putting in all of this effort with no idea if this display actually works, especially with it having that noise of it rattling around. So we'll see. Power cable, power brick. Let's plug that in and see what happens. Oh, it beeped. Did you guys hear that? There's a beep. Okay, it looks like the display does work just like a regular OLED panel. The black's right there, super black. I mean, oh, it's got RGB on the back, look at that. Oh, cool, so from the start, it allows you to turn accessibility on or off and then gives you a beep guide. Oh, so you have to use the remote to interact with this because there's no little niblet on the back. That's not the right name for that. little knob. This is really cool. So even from the menu, right? Like, I've never seen a gaming monitor menu where you can just interact with it and nothing else is lit up. Like the display is not turning on. This is it being on. So the price on this is a cool $1,000, which is not going to be for everybody. So we have different game modes. Currently it's running at 0 Hertz. It has variable refresh rate on. HDR is off. I'm gonna turn that on eventually. Variable refresh rate, black stabilizer, crosshair, FPS counter. You can move. It has an FPS counter? No. How does that work? Picture adjustment, it's at full brightness. Color temperature is all good. Okay. I mean, that's not terrible. I'm impressed just at the menu with how it looks. Yeah, unfortunately, if you lose the remote, you can't do anything with the monitor. It has a power button down here, but that's about as much as you can do. It's a little frustrating, the whole remote situation, because you are likely to lose a remote like this because you're not gonna be using it frequently. You're gonna use it on setup, and then you're gonna toss it in a drawer somewhere, potentially, and then not know where you put it. All right, let's plug that in. Let's see what's going on. Windows looks good. Oh, that's gorgeous. It's got an FPS counter in the top. It says 240, but that's probably not real. So the display's looking really good. Like the blue fall off to the Windows section is, I know this might seem very simple, but like the Windows background right now looks more vibrant than I've ever seen it, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it's true. All right, let's just pull up a YouTube video that's like, oh my gosh, automatically. Like, I'm not even sitting in front of it and I can just tell the contrast around just the YouTube screen is impeccable. I'm not even in front of it, and from this side angle, this is like one of the best looking monitors I've ever seen. Okay, so there's a little bit of like finger smudging. The screen does show your finger smudges. It's not glossy. It's definitely anti-gloss, anti-glare. I don't have any games on this PC, so I'm currently downloading Cyberpunk just to see what it would be like. Oh man, this is looking immaculate. The 3060 is not gonna be able to run this well. And we're only running at 120 Hertz. But just even seeing the color representation on here, this is probably the best that I've ever seen on a monitor. Again, I haven't had a ton of experience with other OLEDs, no Alienware ultra wide or anything like that. But even just comparing this, I've been playing on a 55-inch LG TV or 50-inch LG TV, an OLED one, and just having the pixel density in 27 inches, oh, this is slow. Oh yeah, and that FPS counter is fake. You see we're running at 15 FPS and it says we're running at 120, so I've already lost the remote. There it is. Okay. LG, this is the worst idea ever. You should always have a physical knob on the monitor. Yeah, this looks incredible. The black levels, super crisp. The pixel density combined with the OLED, this is great. Okay, unfortunately, all of my high-end graphics cards are tied up at the moment. So I'm not gonna be able to play any games on this that aren't gonna be a little bit slow at 1440p, because all I have access to right now is 3060. But just even the menu looks better. YouTube's homepage looks crisper. The text is perfectly clear. The contrast ratio is amazing. There's no banding that's going on in the colors. It's a smooth gradient going on. Like, you can't see it on the screen because of the moire effect, but like this is probably the smoothest color transition I've seen on a monitor. Maybe let's load up a quick Blur Busters test. Oh, I'm seeing it now. It's lowering the brightness as I'm doing this. I wonder if that's to prevent burn-in. Yeah, it's dynamically adjusting the brightness, which makes a lot of sense, especially if you're worried about OLED burn-in. LG already does this on their televisions where they have the brightness decreasing, they have the pixel shifting to make sure that everything's fine. We can change the lighting on the back, which is actually fairly bright. You can see down here, it's actually illuminating quite a decent amount. I am curious if they give you any options to change some of the burn-in settings to maybe make those a bit more usable for the average person. Doesn't look like they do. So I think they must be confident in the monitor's ability to actually work on preventing burn-in itself, as opposed to giving users the options to kind of manually tweak that. It makes sense because the most common time that you're gonna be experiencing burn-in is in a desktop environment like this, where you wanna prefer to keep your taskbar open or potentially have similar apps open on the screen all of the time. And so it would make sense that there's going to be a lot of burn-in, and instead of LG giving you the option to mess with that, they're just saying, for the sake of longevity, we're gonna hide all of that. We're gonna make it so that it just manually works, and that way you don't have to worry about it. So honestly, I'm fully impressed. Like, my first impressions on this monitor are very, very high. Now, there is the main issue that the first moment I got it, it has something detached on the inside. I probably should return it for that reason, because I don't know what that situation is. But for $1,000, like, it's still expensive. You're paying for getting those black levels. You're paying for actually having the really good contrast ratio, the low pixel response time. 1440p 240 hertz is not a common refresh rate resolution that's being banded together. So those things by itself would make it more expensive just at 27-inch 1440p 240 hertz. But then when you add in the OLED component, it makes it way more expensive. I ideally would like to get this a little bit closer to that $600 to $700 region, and that's where I would think a lot of adoption would, you know, tick up. But Samsung's proven with things like their Odyssey G9 Neo and their Odyssey G7 that consumers are more than willing to spend a ton of money on a high quality panel. And I think LG has one at their hands right here. This is just a first impressions. I'm gonna probably play around with it a lot more, get it hooked up to my RTX 4080, hooked up to my RTX 4090, see if we can really drive this thing, and I might make a full review on it. I'm not 100% sure, but for now, those are my initial unboxing and overview thoughts. This thing's incredible.